Because if you don't trust yourself, you're not going to get very far. If you don't believe the things that you say, then you're never going to actually do the things that you say. And the way to start believing in the things that you say is to do the things that you say you're going to do. What's up, guys? And welcome back to another entry in the Solitude Diaries. And today we're going to talk about relationships, and more specifically, the relationship that we have with ourselves. I think we forget at times that building a relationship requires effort. It requires a certain level of showing up. It requires a certain level of commitment, and the best way that I think we all can understand this is when it comes to romantic relationships. So, you meet someone, you hit it off with them, and you hang out, and you realize that you kind of like this person and you want to keep getting to know them. So what do you do to keep getting to know this person? You schedule time to be with them. You make an effort to reach out here and there. You are definitely putting some skin in the game in order to really get to know this person on a deeper level. And you are also watching the things that they're doing, the things that they're saying, and you're seeing if they match up. If you meet someone new, you don't know them yet. And so a lot of what's happening in the beginning stages is just building that foundation of trust. And trust starts to be built when the words match the action. So when we think about the dynamics of relationships with other people, I think it's pretty straightforward. We kind of understand that. And, if there was someone who we just met who was telling us all these things, but then not showing up and the action is not there behind it, we're going to start to feel a little weary about them. And our trust in them is not going to be as high as it would be if that person were following through on the things that they were saying. This is the same way that we really need to look at the relationship that we have with ourselves. The relationship that we have with us is just like any other relationship. It requires effort. It requires a sense of consistency. It requires trust. And the way that we build that is by doing the things with and for ourselves that we would do if this were for someone else. And so often we tarnish the relationship that we have with ourselves because we don't listen to ourselves. And I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of times that I have done this, in my teen years, in my 20s, even now, there are still moments where I'm not fully listening to what I know is right, or to what I know my intuition is telling me. And every time we make a promise to ourselves, or every time we go against what it is that we are feeling, we are slowly creating a wedge in our relationship with ourselves. Because let's say that you met someone and you hit it off, you like them, they're feeling you, and you're feeling the vibe. And this person now starts to promise you things. They tell you, yeah, I'm going to come by on Friday and we're going to watch a movie and just hang out and chill. And then Friday comes and you never hear from them. And then the following week, they tell you, oh, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to be there on Saturday and I'm going to take you out. Saturday comes and here comes another excuse as to why they can't do it. And then 2 weeks from now, the same thing. They tell you that they're going to come and pick you up at a certain time. You're going to go to the movies and just kind of have a chill night. The day comes, you don't hear from them. or you hear some kind of excuse as to why they can't do it. This is exactly how the relationship that we have with ourselves works. So every time we tell ourselves that we're going to do something and then not do it, or every time we say that we're going to change around our life and our behaviors in this specific kind of way, and then we don't follow through with it, all of those things all helped to tarnish the relationship that we have with ourselves. And for a long, long time, for most of my life, this is what the dynamic was that I had with myself. I would say that I wanted to do this, I would say I wanted to do that, but then there was no follow through. Or if I did make an attempt to follow through, all of the negative voices were coming up so loud, trying to convince me that this is not for you, you'll never be able to do this, and so you might as well just quit. And that's exactly what I did. I listened to those negative voices and to the false beliefs telling me that I could not do things. And where I am now in my life, I am 35 years old, and I really want to be a person that creates life for themselves in the way that they desire. I truly, truly want to be a co-creator in my life and be a part of what is happening and in shifting and shaping my reality. And the only way for me to do that is to follow up and to show up in the ways that I told myself that I was going to do. This is how we start to build that trust factor with ourselves. So doing these videos, this is a part of a promise that I have made to myself. It is me stepping into being seen and really allowing myself to be witnessed. It's allowing myself to be experienced. It's not hiding. It's about sharing the thoughts and opinions that I have. And it's scary. It is a very scary thing to put yourself out there knowing that you are basically opening yourself up to any sort of criticism or any sort of negativity. And those things can really, really start to take up major real estate in your mind. And they can really stop you. But what's actually happening in those moments is that your body is just pre-wired to keep you safe. We have this primitive part in our brains that even through all of the evolution that we have had as a species, it still exists. And this part of our brain plays a major role. It is there to keep us safe. That is how we are able to get ourselves out of situations that may be dangerous or life-threatening. And this part of our brain is what gets activated when we start to tread in some waters that it's not familiar with. So me coming on here and speaking and talking to the camera, this is totally, totally outside of what was safe for me. So when I started doing this, like last year or 2 years ago, whenever I started this channel, my intention was the same intention that I have now, which is to really be in a space to allow myself to be seen and really share these messages of my heart and really connect and be in community with other people who are navigating similar journeys. That is my intention, and that was the intention when I started this channel. But all my mind knew was, oh, Michelle is out here doing something that she doesn't normally do. This doesn't feel safe. I need to stop her. And so that's when all of the negative thoughts start coming in. That's when all of my worthiness wounds start coming up. That's when all of my value wounds start coming up. That's when all of that stuff starts coming up to the surface. And if you are not prepared and equipped to deal with that stuff, it can absolutely derail you. And that's exactly what it did. I have wanted to be on YouTube for a long time, and my fears and my insecurities stopped me from being able to do it. I just did not have the capacity to be able to talk in front of this camera and speak out to all of you. I was unable to do that. I still had a lot of work that I had to do within myself before I could feel safe enough to do this. And even now, as I'm doing it, each time there's this little hint of the negative voice that tries to still come in and persuade me otherwise. But I am so committed at this point now to crafting and creating the life and the reality for myself that I desire, and really walking the path of becoming the person that I want to become, that I don't even allow those thoughts to permeate through my entire being in the way that I used to before. I hear it, I recognize it, I can see it even in my behavior sometimes, that it's coming up, when I'm feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't post, or I don't feel like posting this, or oh, this is so bad, or whatever else that's coming up for me. When those moments happen, I literally have to stop myself, because I recognize it. I recognize when I'm doing it. I recognize when I'm ruminating, and I have to stop myself in those moments and completely combat that thought and reframe that thought. And I'm talking about like mid thought. I'm literally like, Michelle, wait a minute, stop. Let's reframe that. So instead of me thinking, well, no one cares what you have to say, because that's one of the ones that comes up a lot. My reframe of that is, the people who this is for are going to care about what you have to say. And that helps to break the thought up right there in the moment and change it and shift it into something that is positive, into something that is uplifting, into something that is actually beneficial for me. And this is all part of that process of really starting to build that foundation of trust for the relationship that you are building with yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, you're not going to get very far. If you don't believe the things that you say, then you're never going to actually do the things that you say. And the way to start believing in the things that you say is to do the things that you say you're going to do. And I know that that just seems so obvious and so simple, but what I'm finding is that the simple things really are the answers. It's the simple things. Like, if you want to do the thing, you have to do the thing in order to make yourself believe that you can do the thing. Because if you don't do the thing, then all you're doing is further perpetuating the belief that you don't believe in yourself. And that's why you didn't do the thing, or that's why you can't do the thing, because you're not capable, and you're not this, and you're not that, and you're not that. But we are in a glow up season. We are in a season of shift and change and transition. And this time is all about really stepping in our power and creating the life that we want for ourselves. And so I am making the commitment, and I hope anyone out there who is watching this and this is resonating with you, that you too will make the commitment to actually walk the talk and do the thing that you're telling yourself you're going to do, and make it realistic for yourself. I was recording no videos at all. And so the mistake that I made in the past is that I would go from not doing the thing at all to now all of a sudden being like, well, I'm going to do this 5 times a week or 6 times a week. And it's like, girl, what are you doing? Because the reality is you weren't doing it at all. How are you going to jump from doing nothing to then all of a sudden being able to do this thing 5 to 6 times a week? And I had to be realistic with myself. And that's why everyone's journey is different, because everyone has different circumstances and everyone has different influences in their life. So for me, I had to find what is a sweet spot? What is something that I can actually consistently do? And so I'm starting with just 2 videos a week, just 2, just to get myself started, to get myself acclimated, to get myself in the flow of recording a video, editing a video, uploading it, creating the thumbnail, just the whole process. I have to get myself familiarized and used to doing that. There's no way that I'd be able to do this every single day. That's not possible and it's not realistic. And in that, I'm literally setting myself up for failure by making that type of demand on myself and putting that type of pressure on myself. You know, if we go back to the whole premise of building relationship, when you meet someone who you like and you want to get to know them more, you want it to feel a sense of ease and you want it to feel realistic for whatever it is that the two of you are able to do. So if this person works a job where their hours are a little bit different than yours, you compromise to try to find, okay, what's the common ground? What's a day that works for us? Or what's a time that works for us? Maybe it's not on a weekend because they work on weekends. Maybe it means Tuesday nights we do taco night or something. You know, it's all about the compromise. And we really have to give ourselves that same grace. We have to extend that to ourselves. If we want to start to believe in the things that we say, we have to make the things that we say believable. So I really encourage you to take whatever it is that you are telling yourself that you're going to do and break it down. Break it down into the most realistic thing possible. So if that means just recording 1 day a week for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks just to get yourself acclimated, then that's what it is that you do. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And really what we're trying to do is build consistency and start to build habits. And you do that over time. It's small changes, it's small choices that you make that help to compound and really change who it is that you are. So start the dating process with yourself. Really think about it as if it were another person and how you would approach that. Make time for yourself, like to really be with yourself. Practice being in solitude and reflection and really get introspective with yourself. Get deep, ask yourself the questions and start to really do that work. Because the more you do that work, the more that it's going to inform where it is that you are going. So that is today's entry. And I would love to hear about what it is that you are navigating through. What are the promises that you are making to yourself or that you have made to yourself that you have not followed through? And let's talk about how we can break those down into something that is more realistic and something that is more tangible for you. Because we all have the ability to craft and create this life for ourselves, but we have to start somewhere. And it is going to require a certain level of patience and it is going to require a certain level of consistency. So if we jump out the window and make it unrealistic for ourselves, we're not going to be able to do it. And this season is all about being realistic and really going after our dreams and really committing to what it is that we want to be and what we want to see in the world. So we have to embody that first. So that's it for the Solitude Diaries for today's entry, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.